regular updates and up-to-the-minute information as we continue to track Hurricane Sandy, which is a significant storm event for certainly Philadelphia, but the entire eastern seaboard. Sandy continues to slow roll up the East Coast. In the last 24 hours, the weather reports have changed somewhat as to direction and intensity. The weather professionals are talking about whether it's a hurricane, a tropical storm, or a post-tropical storm. For us, for whatever it may ultimately be, we are certain that a huge storm is coming in the direction of Philadelphia. It poses a serious threat for Philadelphia and the Philadelphia region in terms of heavy rain, flooding, and sustained high winds. Rain is expected to begin Sunday afternoon into Sunday evening and will become very heavy overnight. We could see 24 to 36 hours of continuous heavy rain. As for Monday into Tuesday, we expect to see powerful winds, possibly not as strong as initially thought, but powerful nonetheless, coupled with rain. That combination could in fact take down numerous trees and cause severe power outages. As a river city, we're also very concerned about the storm surge. We're looking at the prospect of a 4 to 8 foot rise, but when paired with the heavy rain and, in a very serious way, the full moon, we could see near record flooding of the Delaware and severe impacts on feeder streams and creeks like the Pennypack. The reason I mentioned the full moon, of course, there will be a high tide, as there always is, but with a full moon, it is higher than normal. That's anticipated now for Monday, 1:38 a.m. and Monday at 2 o'clock p.m. Let me talk about our city preparations. The city and our many public safety, utility, and non-governmental partners have been preparing for this storm for days now in terms of staffing, equipment, and actions to increase and improve and do our best to ensure safety, which is our number one priority. We have highly trained employees, police and fire, streets, water department, L&I, and many others, ready to do whatever is needed at whatever time. The city's Emergency Operations Center will have a limited activation tomorrow at 4 o'clock p.m. and will be fully operational very early on Monday morning. Limited activation will focus on public safety and the activation of our emergency shelters. The EOC will transition to full activation at 6 a.m. on Monday morning. During the height of this activation, over 20 agencies will coordinate at the EOC under the direction of our Director of Emergency Operations, Samantha Phillips. At 4:15 this afternoon, about 15 minutes ago, I signed, as the mayor of the city of Philadelphia, a declaration of state of emergency for Philadelphia. It is effective at 5 o'clock p.m. tomorrow, Sunday. Based on the current information that we have right now, it is effective until 5 o'clock p.m. on Tuesday. Let me also mention that about a half hour ago, I talked with Governor Corbett directly. The governor is fully engaged and involved in all the matters affecting Pennsylvania, and in particular, of course, southeastern Pennsylvania and Philadelphia. As we did last year through Hurricane Irene and the tropical storm, we are fully coordinated with our state partners. I appreciate the governor's call and his offer of any and all assistance that the state government can provide. In addition, we've had conversations with the White House. We're also fully engaged and prepared, paying attention to what's going on here on the eastern seaboard, and have reassured me that federal support will be available as necessary. We have not closed flood-prone streets yet. Please stay alert and be aware, because we will have further announcements tomorrow on strategic closures, again, to ensure public safety. We'll hear more about our activities shortly. Deputy Managing Director Samantha Phillips, who heads our emergency management operation, and from L&I Commissioner Carlton Williams, as well as President of the American Red Cross here in Philadelphia, Judge Renee Cardwell Hughes. We are, of course, also joined by our Managing Director, Rich Negri. For our residents, first and foremost, our message is very simple. Have a plan, be prepared, and then be prepared to take action. If you live in a flood-prone area, as we mentioned yesterday, like Eastwood, Cobbs Creek, parts of Mannion, and around the Pennypack Creek, you need to contact your friends and family now. Contact your friends and family now. It's a part of your emergency plan. By no later than 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, be prepared to exercise that plan and be prepared to move and start relocating. We're also concerned about areas of the city that are prone to flash flooding. You will remember, unfortunately, that last year in East Germantown, we experienced a flash flood during Hurricane Irene and Tropical Storm Lee last September. Residents in those areas need to take necessary precautions, and we're making set robocalls into that section of the city. Those calls will start at 7 o'clock p.m. today. If you have no other place to go, if you're in a flood-prone area, your neighborhood experiences flooding with severe weather events like we're talking about, if you have nowhere else to go, we are activating 3 emergency shelters tomorrow at 4 o'clock p.m. They are West Philadelphia High School, 4901 Chestnut Street, Roxborough High School, 6498 Ridge Avenue, and Fells High School, 5500 Langdon Street. When you get there, you will find the basics: food, water, place to sleep, medical care for emergencies. Bring comfort items and your medication. I'll repeat that again. Bring your comfort items and medications that you normally take. Bring them to the shelter. And please, do not forget your pets. Pets are welcome at the city's emergency shelter locations. Through a partnership with the County Animal Response Team, they will help take care of your pets. Now, if you're not in a flood-prone area of the city, you need to shelter in your home. We are encouraging citizens of this city, please stay inside to the greatest extent that you can during the height of the storm. That, of course, is Monday into Tuesday. This is a very serious weather event. Also, please do your best to stay off the roadways. Please don't walk in floodwater that's more than above your knees. And never drive into a flooded roadway. It is very deceptive. Surveys have shown, and unfortunately experienced, that a foot of moving water can actually take a car off of the roadway. You will unfortunately be in very severe danger. Floodwaters are generally deeper than they may appear from your eyes, so please stay out of floodwater. To the citizens again, please bring your outdoor objects such as lawn furniture, garbage cans, and other loose items inside your house, or tie them down securely, possibly move them into your garage if you have them. We are in the height of leaf falling season. As you notice around the city, leaves have already started to fall all across Philadelphia. Please clear loose and clogged rain gutters and downspouts that are attached to your home, and also make sure that they are secure so they are not damaged or taken away by high winds. Again, I mentioned the leaves in the street. Unfortunately, they will clog our city inlets, leading to further flooding. You can, citizens, block captains, community leaders, have the opportunity, please try to sweep those leaves up, bag them, and keep them away. We need your help in that regard. Philadelphia Water Department and Streets Department are doing the same, especially in low-lying areas. I know that Philadelphians have already been going to our supermarkets, getting general provisions for a couple days, if unfortunately you are stuck in the house. You also want to have flashlights, battery-powered radios, and extra batteries. You can go to www.phila.gov/ready to learn more about Ready Go Bag items. Please don't forget to sign up for emergency text and email alerts from www.readynotifypa.org to get the latest information in text or email fashion. The city's government access channel, 64, have updated information available as soon as that information comes in. And if you have a problem in the neighborhood, like a clogged inlet, please call the 311 center, which will be open 24 hours a day over the course of the weekend and into early next week. Please only use 911 if you have a true police life safety emergency. Stay tuned to local TV and radio stations for up-to-date weather forecasts and other information that you may need. You can also monitor or watch the city's Twitter account for information on road closures, localized flooding, and safety tips. Just a few last items. Know the phone numbers of your service providers to report losses in service from our various utilities. PECO's emergency service line is 1-800-494-4000. PECO's emergency hotline, 1-800-841-4141. Philadelphia Water Department, 215-685-6300. Philadelphia Gas Works, 215-235-1212. Lastly, have multiple supplies of bottled water for everyone in your home, including, again, your pets, in the event that you possibly lose water service. Make sure you have working flashlights, extra batteries if you lose power, and a radio-powered battery. And a battery-operated radio. If you can get radio service from your batteries, God bless you. Let me now have Judge Renee Caldwell-Hughes come up and talk about American Red Cross. Judge?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for this opportunity. The Red Cross has been partnering with the City of Philadelphia for several days to put shelter operations in place. So we have already prepared the shelters. Let me reiterate that the purpose of a shelter is to ensure that families are safe and comfortable. There will be 3 meals provided every day. There will be a safe place to sleep, but we are encouraging you to bring any special needs your family may have. If you have young children, please, books, coloring books, crayons, things that will help to keep the children comfortable. Make a copy of your important documents, insurance papers, prescriptions, eyeglasses, things that you will need to survive being away from home. It is critical that you grab some cash, put gas in your car. I know this sounds very basic, but these are the things that you won't have time to do when you need to evacuate. If you are in this viewing area but do not live in the city of Philadelphia, please check our website, www.redcrossphilly.org. We're working with each of the counties, Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, Delaware, to put shelter in place as well as evacuation plans in effect. So if you live outside of the city, check our website, redcrossphilly.org, or call us at 215-299-4000, and we can tell you exactly where to go to shelter in each of the counties. City sites mean don't turn away anyone, but we're making arrangements in every county so that people can be sheltered close to their home as is safe. I also encourage you, if you want to check what we're doing in shelter locations and the track of the storm, you download our app. Whether you have an Apple product or a Droid product, you can download the American Red Cross Hurricane app. The importance of downloading this app now is that it is in English and Spanish. And if you lose power, the information will be embedded in your phone. It will tell you what to do before the storm, during the storm, and after the storm. It will identify shelter locations throughout the entire region and give you the basic information that you need with respect to first aid, as well as allow you to send out messages to your family and friends to let them know that you are safe. I strongly encourage you to take this seriously, and I thank the mayor for allowing the Red Cross to partner with them to keep our community safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. And the American Red Cross is a tremendous partner with us. We also recognize Giselle Jones, Deputy Managing Director, primarily responsible for special events, and a significant amount of coordination, especially for these kinds of situations. Let me ask our Commissioner of the Department of License and Inspections, Carlton Williams, to come up and give an update on what L&I has been doing over the past couple of days. Carlton?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. As the Mayor said, this is a very serious storm, and we are exercising all precautions. Our biggest concern right now with a storm like this is that it increases the risk of structural integrity of buildings. And so we have inspectors out right now looking at potentially dangerous situations. If you, the public, sees a potential dangerous situation, you should call 311, use 311 application to report these types of conditions. We will get inspectors out as soon as possible to address and take care of the situation as soon as we possibly can. Also want to reiterate what the mayor said also is that if there are items that you have out right now, you're working on a project, particularly contractors and demo site contractors, we've asked all those site contractors to make sure that those areas are secure. Remove all equipment and loose material that could be potentially tossed with heavy winds. Property owners should exercise the same caution. And we're also asking inspectors to be on site to assess the situation in case you think an area is dangerous. We'll come out and reaffirm it. In the event of an emergency, with situations like this, we have city demo contractors on standby to respond immediately in case there's a structural emergency. We can bring in heavy equipment to address the situation and try to clear it as soon as possible. But I also want to encourage you and employ the public again that if there's anything that they think that is dangerous, they should call 311, use our 311 application that ties directly into our systems, and we'll get out and inspect it as soon as possible. Finally, in the event of any damage that's assessed, if you see anything out there, you should report it immediately so that we can come in and assess and provide a damage report to the Office of Emergency Services. We will make sure that we're out there. We're going to try to do everything possible to prevent these situations from happening. But in case something does, we're going to be out there from this point on to ensure that we address any situations that occur. Thank you.
Commissioner, thank you. And let us now have the Director of the Office of Emergency Management, Samantha Phillips.
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. I don't have too much to add to the great remarks that the Mayor and Judge Hughes and Commissioner Williams provided this afternoon. I just want to remind everybody that the timing of this storm is a little bit of a challenge here for the City of Philadelphia. So we're asking that if you live in an area that's prone to flooding or have experienced flooding in the past, that you evacuate your home well in advance of the storm arriving in the City of Philadelphia. So tomorrow afternoon, you actually might be leaving and the rain might not have started falling. But the timing is going to be difficult. If you wait until Monday, I'm very worried about your ability to get to a safe location, either with friends and family or to an emergency shelter during the height of the storm, which will really be coming in during the Monday time frame. We're going to have a tremendous amount of rain on Monday, paired with some very high winds. And so we do not want people moving to safe locations during the height of the storm. We've already talked about comparisons to Hurricane Irene, which are very similar. This storm will be very similar to that. But I also want to remind people that earlier this summer, many of our neighboring jurisdictions, particularly in New Jersey and down towards the D.C. area, experienced a type of event called a derecho, which is a high wind event. We could have very similar impacts here in the City of Philadelphia, so we're really preparing seek shelter with friends and family, come to an emergency shelter. That's why they're here. We're happy to provide that service to you in conjunction with our partners at the American Red Cross and Salvation Army and School District. So please take advantage of them. And I just want to close, Commissioner Williams did mention this, but it's very important that people who experience damage or power outages related to the storm do report this information as quickly as possible. We're working with our partners both in state and federal governments to have damage assessment teams on standby. We'll get them into the city as soon as we can to conduct preliminary damage assessments and begin the recovery process. So stay tuned for detail on that, but all damage should be reported to 311. Thank you.
Thanks, Director Phillips. One last thing, and then I'll be glad to take your questions. This is actually an appeal to all of you here. We're going to do our best to maybe put together a piece that folks can click onto, or maybe something that's downloadable that takes a bunch of our remarks and puts them in a more concise fashion. If we're able to do that, I would expect that we should be able to do that. Certainly we'll put that up on our own website, kind of a how to deal with the storm guide, if you will. If we're able to put that together, I would also ask that you talk with your folks back at your respective media outlets and make a link or make that information available to any of your viewers that if they go on your website, they'd be able to get the same thing or link them back over to the city. But we really want to have people with information that is easy to read, easy to understand, and captures some of the main points of the information that we've been laying out here for the last couple of days. With that, I'd be glad to try to answer any questions that you have.
How many beds in the emergency shelters?
Each shelter is prepared with hundreds of beds, and we have additional capacity, so we can increase the number of beds at the facilities or open additional facilities as needed.
So how many are you starting off with?
There's 200 at each facility.
200 each, so 600 total to begin with.
Yep.
Mayor, how would you assess, since the last update yesterday with us, how would you assess the city's response to cleaning out those gutters and being ready for, especially those flood areas?
And I know they're out there. I can't tell you how many they've cleaned at this point, but as I indicated yesterday, they're out for the entire weekend, and they will be vigilant in those efforts. But also, it's why I also emphasize asking citizens, just even if you're not in one of those areas, the fewer leaves that are out there, the less trash or debris that's in a gutter, the better it is for all of us. Maybe at tomorrow's briefing, I'll be able to give you a little more detail on that. We'll check in with the teams and see what the story is. We do expect tomorrow to have probably at least one briefing, probably sometime in the afternoon. But if that changes, or if the time changes, or if we have multiple briefings tomorrow, we'll get you that information as soon as possible. But we will expect at the possibly a late afternoon briefing, we'll probably have virtually all the various agencies that are coordinating and participating in this effort here with us in person. Most of this activity right now is over the phone or other ways of communicating, but you'll see more of them tomorrow with the afternoon briefing.
Emergency declaration, snow emergency, people need to move their cars. Does that translate to what the residents need to do, or is it just kind of a money thing?
It's not just a money thing, although that is certainly a component of it. But under the Philadelphia Code, if a state of emergency, or declaration of a state of emergency is declared, there are additional powers that the mayor is given under the code in terms of movement of traffic on the highways, people gathering, the sale of fuel, alcohol, gun sales, a bunch of different things. At the moment, we're not sure which one of those, depending on what happens, we would utilize. But if we don't make the declaration, we can't access those additional powers. But it is also, I have to tell you, making that declaration is something that we take very seriously, but we're making it virtually a day in advance, which is further indication how serious an event we're anticipating. We need the public to take it equally as serious.
Did you do that with Irene?
I'm I'm sorry.
Did you do that? Was there an emergency declaration with Irene?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
And from what you know at the moment, how serious is this storm compared with previous storms that the city's had to
Well,
deal with?
I'll have Director Phillips come up. You know, this is the thing. It's just like the snow. Every event is different. These are heavily tracked by many, many people, but they are completely, ultimately unpredictable. And you can see the general direction. How far inland does it come? Does it go at the last minute and turn to the sea? So, you know, we deal with the best information we have at the time, and you make your preparations. Again, you hope for the worst, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. You know, I don't know what other comparisons we would make with Irene, other than we anticipate heavy rain, slow-moving storm, sustained winds, which to some extent we did not have last year, and this is going to be a tough one.
I would just add that the likelihood that this storm will not impact Philadelphia is decreasing with every update we get from the National Weather Service. So we have a very high, the last report was more than an 85% chance of feeling at least some effect of this storm. And so, you know, even if it's just the outer bands, we're still going to see a lot of rain and some wind.
Anything else?
You mentioned robocalls. Are you guys going to be knocking on doors, anything like that, or how are you going to ensure that people get out of these flood-prone regions?
As our experience was last year, and again, quite frankly, with a lot of your help and assistance, the flash flooding is a particularly dangerous and serious condition. So, unfortunately, we did experience a tragedy last year. So we are making specific robocalls about flash flooding into an area that is prone to that. Most of the citizens we know from last year with Hurricane Irene, we've seen it time and time again with various large snowstorms. For the most part, citizens do what they need to do. They know that we're taking this seriously. They take it seriously. And we know that neighbors are also looking out for neighbors. That activity is already going on. I was at an event earlier today. People were talking about the storm. And just about everywhere I've gone, there's been that kind of conversation going on. So, you know, Philadelphians are smart enough to figure out this is real, this is serious. We'll do what we got to do.
About how many people live in these flood-prone areas we're talking about?
Citywide, about 10,000. And again, you know, if you've been a Philly resident for any period of time, I mean, not hurricane level, but, you know, we've had some pretty bad rainstorms, snowstorms, melting snow, et cetera, and these areas are fairly well known to a whole lot of folks, the more flood-prone areas, and that's why we keep repeating it pretty much every press announcement. Last question. Thank you very much. We'll stay in touch.